really glad that we're having this conversation, because on this side of the internet, we tend to talk a lot about how marriage is bad, don't do it, etc., why it's awful, but we never really discuss in detail how to go about it in the best way to mitigate risk. There's always going to be risk, right?
Always.
But I think you brought up a really good point there, and I wish more people like heard that, like where you're saying, I don't even recognize secular marriage. You got to do it from a religious standpoint for it to work. Like, so people are already messing up by being secular about it in the first place. And I agree that when you make a religious institution, remove the state, make it strictly with the religion, add in all these shaming components and these like almost like these fail safes, it makes it very
stopgaps,
indestructible, or stopgaps. It makes it very, very powerful. And this is a way to navigate the marriage conundrum in a safe manner.
And where are young men going? Where are they going? They're flocking to the church.
Yeah, a lot of them
to
are
the
buying,
traditional churches.
Are up significantly.
And why are they flocking to the traditional churches? It's not just because they want to get themselves their base trad wife. It's because it's the one place left where there's still a social institution that actually recognizes masculinity, won't punish you for it, one. And then two, it actually gives men resources. And one of the biggest failings that we have for men of all ages, it doesn't matter if you're 90 now, and it doesn't matter if you have just turned 18. The amount of resources that are available for you as a man is garbage. And the amount of resources that's available for all women is massive.
And they give you massive resources to destroy your marriage. There's an entire and Rollo's written about this extensively, an entire like divorce Inc. Like there's a divorce
like divorce industrial complex.
It goes, I mean, like Jim Sachs has talked about this before too. It goes from prior to you getting married to you having the wedding, to you being in a marriage, to dealing with all your problems in marriage, to the separation, to the divorce, to the child, child care, to alimony, to post-divorce stuff and everything that comes out, and then getting back into it again, get back into the trend.
Yeah, I honestly think that sometimes like the secularists, the chicks just get married because they want to have a wedding.
Oh, 100%.
They just want to have a wedding and a ring and the photos on Instagram. Like if Instagram didn't exist, and if the actual wedding day didn't exist, I don't think that any of these chicks would be getting married.
Bro. Attention, yeah.
They want to get married, but they don't want to be wives. Like I've said that so many times. Like they want the ceremony, they want to walk down, be the attention. It's like their like ultimate orgasm because like they're the center of attention. It's like their day.
It's not just that they're center of attention. Like for a man might say, "Well, I have a lot of women who want to sleep with me, and I'm proud of it." A woman, her win, her W is going to be, I got a high status man to commit.
Make me an honest woman.
And not only is he going to commit to me, everyone's going to see this, and everyone's going to show this on their phone, and they're going to put on IG stories, and everyone's going to see his commitment towards me.
Absolutely.
I reckon, honestly, one of the best tests you could do if you're going to get married to a chick, say, you know what? I'm going to use the wedding money that we would have used, and we're going to, invest in some assets, and we're not going to have a on. See what she says.
Put a down payment on a house.
How about this? How about this? At the wedding, there'll be no photos or video.
Yeah.
And then see how that works.
No Instagram, no flexing.
I would just point out, like, me and Jake were talking earlier about this. About this idea when you're talking about secular marriage. Yeah, it's a racket. Yeah. It's a racket. I mean, at this point, it's so exposed and overexposed as being a racket. And it's a massive industry, as you pointed out in multitudes of your books. But the thing is like what men have lost, what's gone from society without patriotism, which is gone, it's destroyed, right? Completely destroyed. We used to pledge allegiance to the flag, right? We used to have some kind of sense of community. So that's gone. All of the kind of traditional things that we used to do to have a sense of community are destroyed. And all that's left to us, and the most powerful institution left to the right, is the church. And if that's the case, and that's the place that you're going to get the maximum amount of help, doesn't mean they're going to necessarily give you tons of money, right? But they'll help you in the way that you really need, which is community. It's other men. So what do other men always do? Andrew, you're too fat, work out more. Right? Andrew, you need to do this.
Look what it
hey, what the hell is wrong? Well, you can't get some new clothes, Andrew. Come on. Hey man, your beard's not looking the best or the most crisp, right? It's always a sense of poking and prodding for improvement, and also to assist you in being better, not being worse.
This hot broad just sent this in here. Look, Rachel Wilson says, let's not forget that when Andrew says the church, he does not mean the church. 90% or more of American churches have been completely feminized. Great show, guys.
Yeah, I was going to say this point as well. It's like, they're sewing circle Christians, and those chicks and the girls who go into the church at like 32 years old, once they're done with their hoe phase, and they get baptized in some like inflatable pool
or something.
Or something. Like we don't claim.
The Nala Ray, right? Born again to minister to you, Mr. Orthodox smoky man who's bad. I would point out.
I got a question for you after this, Andrew. No, go ahead.
Well, I would just point out she's right. That's why I caveat this. The traditional churches.
Yeah.
So these are three categories: Orthodox, Catholic, and there's some Protestant high churches which follow in the models of those. And because they do have serious ecclesiology behind what they're doing. And so these are people who study marriage. They're often counselors themselves, and they hyper focus on helping their flock do what they're supposed to do, which is stay married, give the resources, the sacraments, all of the things that give those sense of community and spiritualism.
How would someone find it?
What, like orthodoxy? You walk in the door.
Well, no, but it was like, because most churches are bullshit, right? Like they're just feminized. How does someone that doesn't know anything find
Make
a
sure
real
that
church?
your church tradition is over 300 years old at least. Okay. And most of them ain't.
Right.
Okay. Most of them are not. But if they're 2,000 years old, they're probably a lot more trustworthy. If they're 1,000 years old, probably a lot more trustworthy. If they sprung up in the strip mall and it's a 10-year-old tradition, probably not the church you're looking for. If it's been around since the 80s, probably not the church you're looking for.
Yeah, it's a big problem.
If it's got an LGBTQ flag, not the church. If it's got a woman pastor, not the church. Okay, like
Also,
the list goes on and on.
Andrew, I think it's also important you to like, because you're an Orthodox Christian,
Yeah.
right? So there's I guess and please correct me if I lack a better term here, but a higher barrier to entry.
Yes, much higher barrier. So the thing is we're catechized for at least 2 years. We're not allowed to be baptized until we've had a proper catechism into the church, and you'll get rejected. Many people get rejected until they complete their catechesis, meaning it's at the priest's discretion. They're like, look, you're not ready for this yet. You're still out, sniffing coke or being a wild animal or whatever it is. We're not ready to induct you into the church. The Catholic Church is the same way. And some of the high church Protestants are the same way. There's a barrier for entry. It takes a long time to get there.
All right, I got $100 super chat. Hold on. Sniper says, here you go.
Christ is God.
And just quickly, Myron, I've heard you talk about this a lot, that women are, 80% of the consumer market. Rollo, I've heard you say this as well. Mm-hmm. We've got this gynocentric social order. So if you think about it in terms of the churches, who are they going to try and appeal to? If you start up a church, you've got a denomination, you want to bring people into the door, you want to get donations.
Good point.
Whereas the Catholic and I go to an Orthodox church in Australia, they own the whole block. Like they don't ask me for anything when I get in there. Gotcha. They don't really, need me that much.
Yeah.
And the truth is,
then let them be more honest and really, because there's no financial incentive.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is like, I always say to young men who are going into the church, be a servant for the church. Put your efforts towards being a good member of that church community. And just like everything else, you get out of what you put in. And if you're being a good servant to the church, isn't it amazing? The church seems to take good care of you.
This guy, Jill Figgs, wants to know, Myron, would you offer to moderate Andrew Wilson versus CGA round 2 on an actual debate with questions and answers?
Yeah. I'd be happy to do that, because I think both of you guys, I don't think either of you were wrong. I think he totally misinterpreted your position, because I see that he didn't let you really explain what you were trying to say, because that makes 100% sense. You don't even recognize secular marriages. Right. That's huge. That's a big detail.
Well, the thing is that I would love to do it so that it was timed.
Yeah,
sure.
Just so that I can get the points out and demonstrate to the world just how fucking stupid this guy is.
Okay, how about this one? CGA started debating himself at one point in the debate, but also, when are we going to get an evolution debate between Mike and Andrew?
I'm actually down to do it whenever Mike is.
Okay.
I'm down to do an evolution debate whenever.
Want to do it?
That was one of 4 super chats asking the same thing.
I'm happy to do it. I don't usually do evolution debate. I will. Jim Bob is way more skilled than I am.
Okay.
So I would recommend actually that matchup made by Jim Bob versus Michael Sartain. I'm sure Myron would happily host that one as well.
Yeah, I could do that. No problem.
And if they won't, you guys could do it on the Crucible, right? But I think that he would be a better, because it's more his jam. You know what I mean?
We can all multi-stream it. I can you can put it on your channel. Me and Andrew can even moderate it and put it just so it gets more views.
Sure.
We could put it both go live. moderate it or be witness, and then that you guys just go back and forth and debate and put on a big platform?
I call shotgun.
A great roundtable discussion with common sense. Please do more of them. Oh, really? You mean without all the girls that you guys were complaining that we didn't have in the beginning of the show? Imagine that. We did a high quality stream with no chicks on the show.
I think one of the most
That's the
valuable
most high
things
quality
we discussed on this thing is because we talk, like I said before, we talk so much about how bad marriage is or whatever, but there's guys out there that actually do want to get married and find a way to build a family. And I've said it before, if you want to have kids, the best way to do it is through a marriage. And, you know, how can guys navigate that? And I think doing it with the religious route is really the only way.
See, that's the thing is like whenever I'm dealing with guys like Matt Walsh or Michael Knowles or any of these guys, especially like the guys who think like I am in some way like anti-marriage. I'm not anti.
You're married.
Clearly, I'm not anti-marriage. I've been married
You're
for
married.
29 freaking years. I've been married longer than most of these guys have been married. Yeah. I wrote the Rational Male. What else do you want me to? You know,
you've
what
been
else
married longer than a lot of the people on the internet have been alive.
Right? And so they don't know what to do with me because like here I am, a happily married guy who's been married for quite some time, still very much in love with my wife. Had one kid. Sorry, I should have had 10. I guess I'm a failure as a husband and a man. But the thing
do you wish you had more?
Not really. I like the one we had one child by design.
Like if you could though, if you had a magic wand, you could go back and you're like only
I don't think
3-4 years in, would you have had another one?
No, because and then also my brother has a son and a daughter too, so I kind of consider them my kids as well.
Gotcha.
So, but
a lot of sense of family there.
But we did it by design. But the thing is like, this is why I will never get past the gate. Like I'll get up to the gate, but they won't let me pass the gate because they don't know what to do with me once I'm past the gate, especially when it comes to the topic of marriage, because everyone thinks that I'm anti-marriage because I bring up the facts, I bring up the stats, I bring up the data and everything else. I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just against the way we do it now.
And now we can even add in, we're against secular marriages.
Which is what most people
redefine
it there.
Now we can even, because that way, now that specificity changes the game because a lot of guys get married in a secular fashion. How many times they get married in church? That's the first time they've been for 3 years
in a church. Yeah.
Like it's for their wedding. So
and we see the stats. The more religious you are, the more that you take it seriously, right? The better that not only the marriage is, but the outcomes for your children. The less likely that you're going to ever be hooked on alcohol or drugs. Less likely that you're going to have bad outcomes yourself personally or your wife. Less likely that you're going to get divorced. Like every outcome for you increases drastically with religiosity.
Yeah, you know, and it'd be interesting to see, like, if you like they'd probably never be able to replicate this study, ethical reasons. But like, if you looked at the people that like got married with the church and with the state involved, a lot of those people probably were fairly secular. Probably first time they've been in a church for years, right? They don't go regularly. They just went because we were born Christian and we're just going to go ahead and do this thing. So they did it from a ceremonial perspective. Yeah. So, you know, that probably would account for a lot. But I was going to ask you this, Andrew. What are your thoughts? Because I really want to get your take on this. What are your thoughts on all these like OnlyFans women that are like converting and saying they found God? They're turning to the church. Like, I'm sure a lot of them might be genuine about it, but you know,
people ask me often, do you and your wife debate? Do me and Rachel debate? We don't really very we debated on this issue.
She's more anti-feminist than you are.
Unless it's about the moon.
Rachel is, she's twice as brutal and she's more based than me. It's just the truth, right? She is. She's awesome.
Hardcore against feminism.
And the thing is we debated back and forth on this issue. Like, what is it? And we both kind of settled on, it's about control. More than anything, it's about control. Let me explain what I mean by this.
Yeah, please.
When it's the case that you're a 21-year-old girl in this society and you go on Instagram and you post a little nudie of yourself or a bra pic or something like that, instant validation, man. 20,000 likes. Girl, you're so beautiful. You're so gorgeous. You're the best. You're the this, you're the that. But just like with podcasting or other events of fame, it's scalable. So if you're a man who's making $20 million a year and you go down to $1 million a year, you think you're a failure. You think you're a failure. You're failing, right? Even though you're wildly successful, right? But you think you're failing. And the same thing, your live chat starts to decrease, things like this. Even though you had 50,000 and now it's 15,000, which is still massive, you feel like you're a failure. Women have the same exact thing when it comes to validation from men.
To garner attention from the opposite gender.
Garner attention. Yeah. Good so point, they go, oh man, 20,000 went to 10,000. I'm a failure. I'm failing. I don't have the instant validation button anymore. And now we fast forward to when they can go to church and have control for what? Instant validation. Instant validation. And so what happens? What happens when Nala Ray converts and posts that to Instagram? What happens to the validation?
It's a new form. It's a new toy.
Oh my God, it's 100-fold what she was getting, right? It's that's what I think it's about, is control, and not necessarily just the control over the men in the church, but control over that idea of validation, the control over the idea that wait, I can't get this dopamine, I can't get the validation like I used to anymore, but this conversion, man, like look at Nala's progression. Anytime she's kind of, people forget about her, somehow she pops right the fuck back up, right? Talking about how whatever podcast abused her, right? And Smokey Man Bad. Suddenly it's a million, oh girl, I can't believe it. Well, it's a validation machine.
Brittany Renner did it with Islam. I've seen plenty of girls do it with Christianity, like these religions that want to save people.
Brittany Renner, man. Last time I saw her, she was in like some hijab.
But am I wrong?
Time she looks like Jackie Brown with
and I wanted to get your take on this because, like, you know, as obviously someone who's like an Orthodox Christian and actually like practices and understand there's a real barrier to entry. Like, I was like, well, I want to get Andrew's take on this because I've seen a lot of girls either do it with Christianity, like I'm converted, I found Jesus, or even some girls like
if
I found
Islam. The
Islam.
case really that they were converting because they had made a mess of their life and they were sorry about it, you'd never hear from them again.
There you go.
That's a good point.
Yeah, you would never
validation.
Never hear from them again. What they would do, or you would hear one last thing. You would just hear, "I'm really sorry," and in humility and repentance, right? I'm going to go take some time with the church and my church fathers to get my shit together. And maybe they come back in 5 years, great. And then you get the welcome, right? Then you get the wow, you know, but you don't go, well, I went and got baptized at heresychurch.com, right? And now I'm going to tell you how to be the right kind of Christian. Fuck you, right? That's what I told her. I'm not going to take advice from a woman who's had 50 dicks in her mouth. You're out of your mind. And what man would?
And what kind of was she? Was it non-denominational or
non-denominational? And she started her own ministry immediately, which was exactly what I said would happen. Stephen Crowder did a whole expose on it. She started.
Women could be ministers?
No, but she started an online ministry.
It sounds profitable.
Where she called herself. She calls herself on the online.
That's why I asked Andrew on this.
Have you seen the website?
No, I haven't.
Oh yeah, she called herself.
She's got about 50 courses. I'm not even joking. How to like stop doing porn. How to be a good steward of your wealth for God, and all these sorts of things. Just course.
Just cash it in on another way.
And it's all. But here's the thing. All of that promotion that she did led to the selling of those ministry courses with her and her husband. And she calls herself a minister. She calls herself the ministry of. And so the thing is like the whole thing. And by the way, I called this before anybody. Oh, you said, right? Okay. Called this that she was a minister before. I said, you're going to do a ministry. I can see it. You know, no, I'm not a minister. I'm not. And yes, she was. She was setting the whole thing up. And so the thing that's really funny about it is like I gave her a lot of grace, like I do everybody. You know what I mean? Maybe she's authentic. And I told people back off until we see what she does. I was on a panel with you where I said it. I said, look, you know, I'm not going to say anything about this yet. I see Pearl's going hard. A lot of people are going hard. I'm going to welcome her into the fold until she shows me reason not to. And she instantly showed me reason not to. But for her, the validation, like with many of these women, the validation is they go to Twitter, Christian Twitter. I'm a Christian now, girl. And then the simps, there's as many simps as you could ever imagine. Yeah. The low tier Christos simps, right? The virtue signal simps. You're beautiful. You're regenerated in Jesus. And they're all, by the way, you want to fuck? You want to fuck?
Yeah, they're all
You're regenerated
like
in Jesus. You know,
and they got an AI
crazy.
photo and shit.
Oh man! So this is something I've heard you talk about this before
because I've seen so many of them do it. The chick, real before you go, the girl that took the 50 million from Shannon Sharp, she gets off OnlyFans, saying I'm retiring, and the next day she puts a story of her reading the Bible, and I'm like, bro, here we go. Sam Frank, same thing. Brittany Renner, Islam. This girl Nala Ray, Christianity. I'm like, what is this like? Some kind of?
But I'll tell you the big test, and this is what I wish we could do collectively. I wish that I could get a message out to like every Christian who even self-identifies as a Christian to just say, look, for 16 weeks, you don't respond to any of these women's social media posts at all. I think almost all of them would be back doing OnlyFans.
It's happened a few times to the ones that you've debated, where they've tried to do the Christian thing, and then a few months later it doesn't work out. They're getting 100 views on their reels that they're posting about Bible studies, and then next minute they're like they're on the OnlyFans, but they're still a Christian, but they're saying I'm an empowered.
Yeah, I think
Christian.
I think where the difference is like as men. We get our validation from, like you actually talked about this in a marriage. There was status associated with
massive status for men.
So I have a wife who is loyal to me, and then I have kids, and I own a home, and I've worked really hard, and that's where we get our validation. Generally, from the compliance we get from our family and our wife. Women get their validation from the attention that they get from other people.
Well, we also get it. We don't just get it from that. We get it in social ways that you don't really recognize. For instance, bosses are more likely to hire you if you're married.
Oh yeah,
and have children, and the reason
I can tell you that from being in the government, guys that move up a lot of the times,
they're married, and the reason for that is you're a very safe bet. You're going to be dependent on the income to take care of your family, so you're probably going to work hard so that you can stay there, right? You can't transition easily out without some serious planning because you have a wife and kids to take care of. So what that creates is because that creates a non-impartial hiring practice, the employer thinks this is a safer bet. Employers move that way. That's a form of social status. That over time becomes a form of social status. And it's not just that, it assists with trust, right? People are way more likely to trust people who have families than they are bachelors. Right. Why? Because they know that you have responsibilities outside of yourself. So it's less likely that you're going to be up to doing nefarious things. There's tons of small social statuses you don't even recognize.
Killers, dude. It tames serial killers.
Yeah.
BTK had a family and stopped killing.
He stopped killing,
Like the Ice Pick Killer?
Yeah.
No, BTK.
Dennis Rader.
In Wichita, Kansas.
Yeah, that was the bind.
He went crazy in the 70s. And then once his daughter went to college and left the house, that's actually how they caught him.
And then he started up.
And he started trying to kill again. And that's how they caught him, because I think she went did an STD test or something. And
he was also
matched it.
He was also old and out of practice, right?
Yeah.
But the big thing is, yes, the social status aspect, there's 1,000 tiny ways that it adds to the social status of men that they don't even think about. And you can take one of those married men who's lower middle class and match him up against a bachelor millionaire. And in social status, from how other men view them, it's often very similar.
Yeah. Depending on what they do.
Yeah. But I mean, you're not getting looked down as an electrician. Like it's and
by other men, definitely not. Maybe by dumb bimbos that don't understand.
Yeah. But you're married. What do you care about the dumb bimbo? Exactly. That's the point. So I do think that there is social status which is associated with it, just in a different way.
Sure.
So.
But anyway, the thing you mentioned before, and Alex Hormozi made a great video about this, was the difference between fame and influence. So, and I'll use this example. Alex Hormozi and Brittany Renner are about as famous as one another. Alex Hormozi can fill up a room with 10,000 people. Brittany Renner looks like an idiot talking about having sex with 3 people at the same time. She's famous, and they confuse one for the other. We had a discussion a while ago about female Instagram models, whatever, trying to start their own podcast, and how it would repeatedly fail over and over again because they had
fucking idiots.
Exactly, because they had fame, but they did not have influence.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that I think it kind of gets lost, and it's frustrating, right? As a content,
we saw that in an election in 2024.
Exactly. Yeah.
Kamala Harris, A-list celebrities, LeBron James, Taylor Swift, A-list celebrities that acted. But you're right, they don't have influence.
But
Trump
Myron had some influence.
Hey, I tried, man. I was telling everybody, because we have a decent amount of because I did my a little analytic of my audience. It's white, Hispanic, blacks are the top 3. Almost 50% of my audience is Hispanic, actually. Yeah. So I was like, yo, you guys got to get out there and vote. And I was telling everyone hard in 2024, we got to get out there and vote for Trump. We got to get out there and vote for Trump. I'm going out there. You got to get out there and vote for Trump, because I knew, if Kamala got in, we already endured a whole bunch of censorship. It was only going to get worse with her.
Yeah.
So I was like, we got to get out there and vote. And then obviously we're in the middle of 2 wars. The economy sucked, all this stuff. Immigration was going nuts. So,
and you also, can we just be real?
Yeah.
You also just didn't want a woman president.
That's actually the number one reason.
You just didn't want a woman president.
Yeah, I just didn't want a female president either. That was a big one.
Those are the classic TikTok invasions when before the election, when we go in there, so why do you want Trump to get elected? Because I don't want a woman president.
And the traditional celebrities,
an annoying voice.
And I realize this, because I want to add to what you're saying, because what you're saying is profound, and I think people need to understand this. And I'm glad that you said it, because there's a big difference between being famous and being influential. Like LeBron James is famous, worldwidely famous. But is anyone going to go out to the polls and vote for Kamala Harris because of him? Right. No. That's why they said shut up and fucking dribble. That's what they meant by that. Like, you are a basketball player. People know you for what you do, but you're not really influential. And this is why Donald Trump doing the press run that he did with social media versus Kamala Harris getting traditional celebrities to endorse her is a failed way. Correct. Because you're right. Like, especially in the new age of social media where people are more relatable to influencers than these A-list celebrities. Yeah,
So let's talk about the spectrum of social media platforms. I would say TikTok probably the furthest to the